What's happening, guys? It's Jeremy Blanton with RE/MAX Southern Shores, and today I wanted to take some time to share with you the ultimate guide to moving to the Myrtle Beach area. You know, I get asked a lot of questions each and every day from people who are thinking about making the move to Myrtle Beach about different things, and I figured it was time to sit down, put these questions together, and create just a good moving guide for people who are thinking about making the move to the Myrtle Beach area. We're going to go over some of these questions that I get asked regularly to hopefully make your move much easier and smoother. And if I don't answer your questions, feel free to reach out to me. My contact info is down below. You can shoot me an email, call me. There's all different ways to get up with me, or just leave a comment and I'll try to respond, or maybe even put it in an upcoming video. So anyway, let's jump into this today. And the number one question that I get asked from people who are thinking about moving to the area is, Jeremy, where's the best place to live in Myrtle Beach? And this is a question that I can't really answer for you. You have to come experience the area yourself and figure out what's going to work best for you. I know there's a lot of places online that you can go and do research. You can go and watch other videos. You can read blog posts. You can do all kinds of research and look at images and things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you need to take a trip here to the Myrtle Beach area and put your two eyes on things to make sure you find the best place. I use a lot of times the analogy of my three children. So I have three kids, a 15, 13, and 9-year-old, and all three of them have very unique personalities. It's kind of like living here at the beach. If my oldest is in the room with us, they're going to sit in the corner, read a book, and never bother us. And that's her personality. She wants quiet, relaxed, be left alone, not have people bothering her, not a lot of action and things going on. Now, if my son's with us, he's the exact opposite. He's going to interrupt us every couple minutes to put his opinion on something. Even if he doesn't know what he's talking about, he's going to interrupt and interject just to be part of the conversation and make himself feel like he's part of what's going on. So he has to be right in the middle of the action and all the stuff going on. If my youngest is with us, well, we're not going to get much accomplished then. Instead, we're going to talk about sunshine, rainbows. We're going to have glittering unicorns and sparkles everywhere and just have a big fun time.
He's so fluffy, I'm gonna die!
At the end of the day, not a lot's going to get accomplished, but one thing for sure, we're going to have a fun time doing it. And so Myrtle Beach as a whole has all of these different areas here where you can move and enjoy. The best way to figure this out, though, is to come put your two eyes on it. Don't listen to what I say in my videos or someone else and make your decision of where you're going to move based solely on that. Instead, plan a trip, we can meet up, discuss the pros and cons of the different areas, and we can then figure out what section of the beach is best going to fit your needs. I have some clients, they only want to live on the northern end of the beach. Others only want to be down on the south. Some only want to be in Carolina Forest, where others say, don't take me anywhere near there. So at the end of the day, it's whatever's going to best fit your needs. I need some water. Sounded a little raspy there. That should be better now. So the second question that I get asked a lot is about HOAs and homeowners fees. A lot of people moving here say, I do not want to deal with an HOA. I live in an area right now where there's no homeowners fees. There's nobody telling me what I can and can't do, and I do not want that. And when it comes to the Myrtle Beach area, most of what we have is going to be in those types of subdivisions where there is a homeowner's fee in place. But I get it if you're somebody who says, I'm not going to live somewhere where somebody's telling me what I can and can't do. I did a little bit of research, and right now there's about 3,000 active single-family residences for sale in our MLS. Of that, though, about a third of those homes can be considered and categorized as a non-HOA home. But when you start to break it down and look at the different types of properties that includes, you have to start to take out some of those options. First, I took out the manufactured homes and the manufactured with leased land because you're not going to really own anything there, so you don't want those types of properties. So we took out the manufactured. I also then took out properties that are way, way, way outside the Myrtle Beach area. You know, our MLS covers a huge area. It goes all the way up into North Carolina, all the way down south of Georgetown, and way out west almost to Florence. So a lot of people who are moving here are reaching out saying, Jeremy, I want to be 30 minutes or less to the beach. So I focused in on basically homes that fit in those areas. And when I did, it brought it down to right under 300 properties. So I then started to look at these different properties to kind of see if I could find any similarities. And what I found is that a lot of these properties are things that are east of 17, very close to the beach, oceanfront high-dollar property homes. The average price of the 300 homes was right around $940,000. So my guess is that for most people watching this video, that's not your budget of what you're looking for in a home. So if you say to me, Jeremy, I want something, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, looking to spend around $350,000, then more than likely you want to end up in some sort of a homeowners association. So last week I worked with a couple that was in town from Missouri, and they needed a home because they're moving here. He has a job offer and he has to have a home soon. And she originally, when we spoke, said, Jeremy, I don't think I want a homeowner's fee. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want it. And I said, well, it's not really that bad of a thing. Let me get you the rules and regulations of one of the neighborhoods that I thought would be a good fit for him. And I emailed it over. She got the document. It was this huge 60-page document that was written by attorneys and lawyers. And she just said, Jeremy, this is way too much. I can't do this. And I said, well, hold on a minute. Before you go and freak out about this, let's take a minute and kind of discuss this a little bit more and break down what are the questions or things that would concern you about living in the neighborhood. And one of her questions was, well, can I put a fence up? And I said, well, let's look at this a minute. And I went through the document. Yes, you can. You can put up an aluminum fence. That's probably what you want anyway, right? Yeah, that's what I want. Okay. And the other things that she had questions about, can I plant flowers? Can I do this? All of that stuff is allowed to be done. There's not a real big issue here. And by the time we were finished, she said, Jeremy, take me to this development. And they ended up buying one of the homes there. They're closing in probably the next 2 to 3 weeks. Oops, sorry, I bumped my microphone. But they're going to be closing in the next 2 to 3 weeks right there. And they're excited and ecstatic to have a home. The homeowner's fee was no longer an issue. The homeowner's rules and regulations, they're fine with that moving forward. And they're excited to start their new lives here at the beach. So at the end of the day, you have to look at these HOA fees, these rules, these regulations, and understand that most of the time they're put in place to help keep the value of properties up. It keeps you from having somebody living next door who runs a construction company parking their construction vehicles and scaffolding and equipment all over the front yard, and helps you to keep the value of your property up because they can't put all that junk in the yard, and it's going to help in the long run. So the other part with HOAs is this. A lot of people who are moving to the area, they want to have amenities. They're looking for the community pool, the clubhouse, the oceanfront resort, the lazy river, pickleball courts, all of that kind of stuff. And in order to get those things in a neighborhood, there has to be some sort of an association collecting a fee in order to pay for those things. So if those types of things, amenities, are something important to you as well, an HOA is probably something you want to take on. So the next question that I get asked a lot is, Jeremy, should I be looking at resales or are new builds the way to go these days? And honestly, about 18 to 24 months ago, my answer to this question was probably very different than what it is today. Back then, I was saying, no, you don't want to do new builds. Those builders think they're the kings and they're in charge. In fact, I did a video about the king seller builder, and they were just going to do what they wanted to and didn't care about anyone. Not to mention they didn't care about the timeline or any of that stuff. Well, that was because we had a lot of supply chain issues back then. People were having trouble getting cabinets, getting windows and doors and drywall and flooring and all that stuff coming in. Well, luckily, the supply chain issues that we've been dealing with are pretty well handled now. They're back under control. The big name builders, your spec builders that are building new product, they figured out ways to get homes done in a timely fashion. So if you're looking at those spec homes now, expect about a 4 to 5 month time period from groundbreaking till the home's going to be ready. If you say, well, Jeremy, I want to do a custom build, you can do those too. Just know you might have to find a place to rent, and stay in for a couple months because that's probably still about a 10, I'd say 8 to 12 month process on a new build. But there's definitely some options out there. Now, if you're doing, once again, that custom build, also remember your price is going to be up there. You're probably looking $650 to $850 minimum for just about any type of custom build that takes place. In addition, when we start to look at these new home constructions and new home products, a lot of times these builders are giving you all types of incentives to use them. Let me share an example of a client that just bought a house. They're moving here from New Jersey, and they weren't going to buy on this trip. They didn't expect to, but they found the home of their dreams in the neighborhood they wanted. It's the last one there, and so they said, we have to get this house, Jeremy. What's it going to take? So we submitted an offer in. We ended up getting a home that was listed for $421,000 for $403,000. So we saved them about $18,000 off the price. In addition, I got the builder to add on a screened porch and screen the whole thing in, and also add gutters to the entire home. It was probably about another $6,000 to $7,000 of upgrades that we got the builder to throw into the deal. Now, because they weren't ready to buy right this trip and were going to pay cash originally, they had to go to a financing option. And the builders right now are giving all types of great incentives there. So what are those incentives? Well, first off, this builder gave them $7,000 towards their closing costs. So that basically is going to take care of all the fees of doing the loan and closing on the property. In addition, because this home is ready to go right now and going to close in the next probably 30 days, this property qualifies for the builder incentive interest rates, which is going to allow the people to get the home at a 5.5% interest rate versus going with a typical resale lender that's going to have an interest rate probably over 7 to 7.2 right now as of today. So that's a huge savings as well. So when you start to take all of these different parts and pieces in, the new build has a lot of great incentives right now. That is why I've seen in the last few months a lot of the people who've been moving to this area looking at the new homes and buying those instead. Next, let's discuss jobs. Here in the Myrtle Beach area, probably when you think about jobs and career paths, probably the first thing that comes to mind is the hospitality industry. That is definitely the number one place for jobs and careers here in our area. If you're somebody who works in the restaurant industry or hotel industry or tourism industry, Myrtle Beach is going to have a ton of job opportunities that are out there for you to pick and get here pretty quick and easy. But in addition to that, we have a lot of other jobs that are in high demand here. People who work in the medical industry, teachers, firemen, police, all of those types of necessity jobs that we need for just living and sustainability, we need lots of those people here. Why? Because the Myrtle Beach area is continually growing each and every day. More and more people are moving here, which is creating a greater demand and more need for those positions. So in the last few months, I've helped a ton of people that are doctors and medical people, as well as teachers who have moved to this area and been able to secure jobs pretty quick and pretty easy. Now, if you're somebody who works in a manufacturing type job or in an industrial type job, those are going to be a little bit harder to find because we don't really have the industrial here. We don't have the manufacturing where you go and work the third shift job, making widgets all day long. We don't have those types of things that are here in the area. The other place where we're getting a lot of people moving to the area are those who are working remotely. The pandemic was one of the greatest things for allowing people to go to work remote. And because of that, we've had a huge influx of people moving to this area that work remotely. And so if you're somebody who has that type of remote job, Myrtle Beach is definitely a place you should consider. Why? Our cost of living is significantly less, and we have so many things to do and the beach right here around you. So why not make the move here, keep your job, keep your pay, and have the beach? The next thing on the list that I want to talk about is transportation. When it comes to the Myrtle Beach area, we do not really have public transportation. There's not a bus route or bus line that can get you from one part of the city to the other. We are predominantly a car-dependent city where you're going to need some sort of a vehicle to get around to the areas that you want to go and visit on a regular basis. Driving somewhere is not just around the corner. It's usually a 5 to 10 minute drive because things are kind of spread out and you have pockets where there are things that take place and then you have developments that are around them. And so you might have a 5-minute drive to go to the grocery store. Yeah, you could walk and do that 1.5 miles probably if you wanted to. But when it's the middle of summer and the temperatures outside are in the high 90s and with humidity feels like 108, do you really want to try to carry 5 grocery bags 1.5 miles back to your house? I know I surely don't. And you may say, well, Jeremy, then we'll just use Uber or Lyft. Yes, that is definitely an option as well. But because there is not a huge high supply of people doing Uber and Lyft in our area, it can get extremely expensive during high demand area times because there's not many and you're going to spend a lot of money to go from point A to point B to point C and back. And any money that you're making in your job, you're going to burn it up pretty quick just doing an Uber. So in Myrtle Beach, you definitely are going to need a vehicle to kind of get around. The next thing on the list is the schools. Jeremy, how are the schools? Where are the good schools? Where are the bad schools? This is a question I get asked regularly, and Unfortunately, due to fair housing laws, I cannot really answer this question. If I did, I would be doing what's called steering and trying to tell people where they should or shouldn't live, and that's against the law, which I'm a big fan of that and keeps me out of trouble. But what I can tell you is this. The Myrtle Beach area has lots of great public schools as well as options for private schools in our area. So if you're concerned about that, there's definitely a lot of options to pick from here for education. In addition, we also have things like academy schools that are all around the area and charter schools that you can go and pick from. Then when you get to the higher levels of education, we have Horry Georgetown Technical College, which is right here in our backyard, and of course, Coastal Carolina, which is a Division I school and becoming a major school in relation to some of the other areas around South Carolina. So there's definitely a lot of options when it comes to education. The next question that I get asked a bunch is, Jeremy, are there things to do in Myrtle Beach? What am I going to do? I've never been there. What do people do on a regular basis? And the answer is, because of us being a tourist town, a lot. There are tons and tons of things to do. First off, let's just talk about eating out. I mentioned in several videos that we have enough restaurants here in the area to eat 3 meals a day for a year and a half and never eat the same place twice. Yeah, there's a ton of options when it comes to eating out. But there's also so many other things to do. We have golf. We're known as one of the golf capitals of the world, where there are about 75 different golf courses to choose and go to and enjoy a round of golf here in the area. There's also a lot of things to do on the water. We have boats and boating activities and jet skis and all of that kind of stuff. We also have places to go shopping. There's great shopping like at the Tanger Outlets or Barefoot Landing or Broadway at the beach. We have entertainment. There are awesome shows that take place right here in Myrtle Beach. You have places like Medieval Times or the Pirate's Voyage or the Carolina Opry or the Alabama Theater. There's a lot of great shows that are taking place right here on a regular basis. So you can find entertainment almost any night of the week. In addition to that, there's also a great nightlife scene that's taking place here each and every night and a lot of things to do. And at the end of the day, if none of those things sound appealing, we also have that 65-mile of ocean right here in the Myrtle Beach area that you can go down to the beach and enjoy any and every day of the week. So when it comes to things to do, Myrtle Beach definitely has those as well. By the way, if you're thinking of buying a house anywhere in the Myrtle Beach area, I want to be the real estate resource for you. I've helped hundreds of people move to the area over the last 20 plus years of selling real estate, and I enjoy every day talking to people and sharing with them the pros and cons of living here and help them decide what's going to be the best area. If you're thinking about making the move to the area, my contact information is going to be down below, or you can simply just go down to jeremyblanton.com and book a 30-minute call with me, and we can discuss your needs and start you on the process of getting you moved to the beach. Anyway, let's get back to the list. The last and final thing that I wanted to discuss today is the weather here in Myrtle Beach. One of the things that we do deal with here at Myrtle Beach is hurricanes. It is extreme weather, severe weather, however you want to call it. It is something that we can deal with here on a regular basis each and every year. Hurricane season comes every year, and it's something that we have to pay attention to, be aware of, and be prepared at any point. But I liken to the hurricane season here in Myrtle Beach to growing up in the Northeast and snow weather up there. When a snowstorm was coming up in Pennsylvania, we usually knew 3-4 days ahead of time. It wasn't something that just miraculously popped up and, oh, it snowed. We would usually know snow's coming, it's going to be cold, there's wet weather coming with it, and those things together are going to make it where we're going to need to have something to take care of this snow. Down here, we know when a storm is going to come. Usually, it's either 7 to 10 days ahead of time that there's already talk about this storm coming through the area and the potential of severe weather hitting along the coast. You will find experts all around starting to talk about the storm, and it'll show up on the Weather Channel and all of this stuff. As I mentioned before, when it comes to severe weather in our area, pay attention to the local meteorologist. My personal favorite is Ed Piotrowski. He's a local celebrity here in our area and really will shoot you straight on storms and how to take care of those moving forward. So you pay attention. They're going to say, yes, there's a potential of a storm coming through the area. And when that happens, you simply go outside, pack up all of your lawn furniture and, bird feeders, that kind of stuff that might be laying around the yard, put them in the garage for a couple days and secure it all down. Then take a trip to the store, get you the necessary food supplies that you might need, some extra batteries maybe, fill up your fuel tanks, and you're set and ready to go for this storm. And as the storm comes through, yeah, there might be a little bit of time where you have to stay indoors, keep everything quiet. Maybe a thunderstorm comes through or a tornado warning, and you have to quick run into the bathroom for a 15-minute time period. But once that goes back by, you go back to living your day and going on. And once the storm has moved through the area, you spend maybe the next day or two, if you have no power, cleaning up the yard, getting things back together, and then you get back to normal living. Here in the Myrtle Beach area, over the last few years, we've been pretty quiet. It's been pretty calm, actually, when it comes to hurricanes and severe weather. In fact, it's been so calm and quiet that the last 3 years, our local meteorologist, Ed, has thrown pizza parties celebrating that there's been no severe weather. So this is what we deal with here, though, every year. And being someone who's lived here now for over 20 plus years, I don't really put a lot of worry into it. I pay attention, I get prepared, and I move forward. But that's the small part of the weather that most people want to talk about. But the reality is that we have gorgeous, beautiful weather here almost year-round. What the statistics tell me is that on average, we see anywhere from 212 to 218 days a year of blue skies, sunny skies here in the Myrtle Beach area. We're going to have beautiful weather that you can get outside, enjoy the outdoors, and enjoy the beautiful things that Myrtle Beach has to offer. We do have that mild winter that comes through. And yes, I've shared in the past, we do sometimes get snow. In fact, the other day I was looking through some old pictures and I found this one. I'll show you here. This was from 2010 when we had probably the heaviest snowstorm that I've had since living here at the beach. It was about 1.5 inches of snow. Just like anywhere else, it was gone probably by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we went on with our days. So the storms of snow, you might see a little bit of it, but it's going to be gone pretty quick. But we have beautiful falls where temperatures are going to be in the 50s to 70 most days of the week. And then as we get to spring, we're going to see that same beautiful weather come back through here. And we're going to have gorgeous times. Now, as I mentioned before, summer, it's going to get hot. It's going to get a little humid. And you're going to go outside in the middle of summer a couple days and just think that you just stepped out of the shower because you're going to start to sweat right away. But I will take those days of really extreme heat to have the beautiful other weather all the other times of the year. Anyway, guys, this I hope helps you, give you a good guide as to move into Myrtle Beach and things that you need to have answered and might have questions about. If there was something that you learned today that you didn't know, do me a favor, leave a comment down below and tell me what that is. And if there's something I didn't answer that you wanted to know, leave a comment there as well, and I'll see what I can do to either add it into a future video or just leave a comment and reply to you right there. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, get that bell on, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.